Production.
Hey yo, Galaxy family. Okay, so we're gonna break down this chart real quick. I'm gonna try to keep it as concise as possible. We'll go on the log chart just to make things more realistic here. Things are starting to look super interesting on this, man. It's definitely working out in our favor. We could start looking at this broader perspective, right? Weekly time frame where we have this left shoulder. We've created the head here at the low. And now potentially what we'll be looking for is in this next quarter, we create the right shoulder to potentially confirm that like this will eventually come closer to the $15 range into next year, into 2024, right? So that's what my thesis is here on the play. What we want to pay attention to right now is we got the breakout up over this zone. This is what we were fighting, right? So the amount of shares outstanding at this level was more significant than the amount of people buying, right? So if you look here, $5.60, we got rejected several times on the weekly time frame. Now that we've broken up over it, what we want to see is how we're going to react if we back test this zone, right? So if we come back to 580, how are we going to hold it? How are we going to react to that price? Because that's going to make a big difference, or a big it'll be a big statement to show if we start to see wicks from below that we're rejecting lower prices if we do come back into that range. We have this weekly 8 EMA holding up so far. Again, there's a gap behind, right? So it might take some time for us to, you know, fill that gap, flutter around that 8 EMA on the weekly time frame. Golden cross, okay, weekly time frame, golden cross. I think that's something major here that we can't, like, you can't lose sight of this. That's the bigger picture that we're looking at, right? We've been waiting for this cross for time. So here's another golden cross. I'll just highlight it. Weekly golden cross, May 2020. We end up uptrending, continuing that uptrend for a year straight, okay? We have the bearish golden cross, and we basically downtrend for, call it a year and a half. What we're looking for here now in this golden cross is that next wave, right? It just might take time. Now, what are some things we need to pay attention to, right? As like Galaxy investors, I'm not super tied in, which of course I should definitely be, but I'm way too busy. I understand my fundamentals and I understand my thesis on the crypto space, and Galaxy is the play that I'm using as my vehicle in this space. That being said, these ETFs that are potentially going to get approved towards the end of this quarter, maybe end of this year, we need to pay attention. And this is, again, like, it's good to gather in this range, right? This is where I've been gathering. But it's also important to continue gathering before the news of the first approved ETF comes out. Around other places around the world are already accepting Bitcoin ETFs. It's a matter of time before the US starts to accept theirs. Big investment, like banks or asset managers, call them BlackRock, Fidelity, etc. One of them gets like accepted, and we might see a significantly big candle where it's like, oh shit, I should have bought before that. So that's why I'm trying to gather now, pay attention now, because it's just a matter of time for it to come. Whether it's on par with the next halving or it happens before, it's something worth paying attention to now. So again, just quickly to highlight, the thesis here in mind from a technical perspective is we have this wave one massive move to the upside, right? It took a lot of time for this. So we have this thousands of % move. We have a massive correction to the downside. So that's wave one, the A, B, we're looking for the third wave, right? Where the third wave could potentially take us from just a quick perspective of where we could go. We could look at our Fibonacci retracement, or sorry, extension, go to the highest we've been, the lowest we've been, send it, golden pocket target 68. Now we could look at this further, right, and get the 2.2 out there. We can get, even if things get crazy, call it the 3, right? It's potentially into this $100 140 range, right? What might that look like? We have no idea, but this is the thesis here that we're playing off of. It might lead into 2025, right, where we get a move like this. So that's the thesis. This is what we need to pay attention to and use these technical analysis tools, the 8 EMAs, the golden crosses, basic supply zones, higher highs and higher lows, like reading the trends. This is going to help us essentially like tell if the thesis is actually still intact and it's happening, or if it completely falters and breaks through. So that's the breakdown, guys. Easy.